The radio crackled at 2:14 a.m. 3 short bursts, then a single long tone. It was the international distress signal. An SOS. Only the call wasn't coming from a ship. It was coming from the St. Vale Lighthouse. The problem? St. Vale Lighthouse had been abandoned for almost 60 years. Coast Guard operator Michael Trask had worked the night shift for nearly a decade, and in all those years, he had never once heard this frequency light up. It was an emergency channel that hadn't been used since the late 1950s, reserved specifically for maritime lighthouses that no longer even had working transmitters. The voice that followed the SOS was faint, distorted, almost buried in static. "This is Keeper Ward, requesting immediate assistance. They're in the water." Michael froze. Keeper Ward had been the lighthouse's final caretaker before it was decommissioned in 1962. According to the records, Ward had drowned himself after allegedly going mad from isolation. And yet here he was, speaking on the radio. The St. Vale Lighthouse sat on a black, jagged outcrop 6 miles off the coast of Maine. The island was little more than a knife of rock, battered by waves and storms. It was notorious for shipwrecks. The waters around it were so violent that even experienced captains kept their distance. Michael, unnerved but determined, radioed in the report. His superior brushed it off as interference or kids playing with an old signal repeater. But the more Michael listened, the more real it felt. There were sounds in the background, waves crashing, chains clanking, and what might have been screams. The next night, the call came again. "Please, they're coming up the stairs. Bring the light. You must bring the light." Michael couldn't take it anymore. He had to see it for himself. He rented a small fishing boat from an old mariner named Ellis. The old man nearly spat on the deck when Michael said where he was headed. "You don't go to St. Vale. Not in calm seas, not in storm. That light stopped shining for a reason." It was nearly midnight by the time Michael reached the island. The fog was so thick, the beam of his flashlight seemed to vanish in front of him. The air smelled of salt and something metallic, like blood left to rust. When the lighthouse finally came into view, his breath caught. The lantern room was glowing faintly, as though the great light had been lit again. The front door hung loose on its hinges. The moment Michael stepped inside, the air grew colder. His flashlight beam revealed peeling paint, seaweed clinging to the walls, and wet footprints leading deeper inside. The radio on the wall, dusty, corroded, decades dead, switched on by itself. "Keeper Ward, here. A light must never go out." Then, footsteps above him, slow, measured, getting closer. Michael gripped the spiral railing and began climbing the stairs. The metal was slick, almost slimy, under his hands. At each landing, the temperature dropped further until his breath came out in white clouds. Halfway up, he heard it, scraping, like something dragging metal against stone. And then whispering, dozens of voices, all murmuring the same word. Light, light, light. At the top, the lantern's bright Fresno lens stood intact, glowing with a dull, unnatural light. Standing beside it was a tall, gaunt man in an oilskin coat, water dripping from his sleeves onto the floor. His face was pale, eyes glassy. Michael recognized him instantly from the old newspaper clippings. "Keeper Ward." "Ye came," Ward rasped, voice echoing unnaturally. "It's too late for me, but ye can keep them out." Before Michael could speak, Ward stepped aside, revealing the windows and the black water outside boiling with movement. Dozens of pale hands reached up from the waves, clawing at the rock. Faces, bloated, half-rotted, emerged in the foam, their mouths open in soundless screams. The light above began to flicker. Ward's eyes went wide. They come when the light dies. Michael rushed to the controls, trying to stabilize the beam. But the machinery was ancient. Parts rusted through. The glow weakened with each passing second. Outside, the water creatures were already climbing the rocks. Ward grabbed Michael's arm with an icy grip. One must always stay in the light. That is the rule. If the keeper leaves, the sea takes him. The realization hit Michael too late. This wasn't a rescue call. It was a summons. The lighthouse needed a new keeper, and it had chosen him. The light flared once more, blinding, and when Michael's vision returned, Ward was gone. Michael was standing alone in the lantern room, his hands on the controls. The glow was steady now. Outside, the creatures slid back into the deep. Far away on the mainland, the Coast Guard operator on duty heard the crackle of an old frequency. "This is Keeper Trask, requesting immediate assistance." The St. Vale Lighthouse still stands today. If ye tune into the right frequency on a stormy night, ye might just hear the Keeper calling for help. But whatever ye do, don't answer.